Hello. We're expecting a few more people, so we'll just give it a moment. And while we wait for them, I'll just do a quick bit of housekeeping. So obviously, thank you very much for joining us today for this Contractor Link webinar. This will be recorded, so if any of you would like a recording for colleagues, we will be repeating the session again later in the year, but if you'd like a recording, or we do have some documentation I can share that summarises Contractor Link, so yeah, feel free to drop me an email. My email address will be at the end, so you can ask for that or any support. I really want everybody to get the most out of this today. So we do have an opportunity for questions at the end. So if you have any questions as we go along, please pop those into the Q&A and I'll answer those at the end. And I suppose I should introduce myself. So for those I haven't had the pleasure to have met yet, my name's Fiona. I've been with eMapSite for many years as a national account manager, and I now support the team that looks after you, which is our multidisciplinary consultants, those who are relying on our map shop daily, and our local authority clients. And yeah, so I know we've got both groups on the call today, so I'm going to be trying to explain it from both angles. So right, we've gone 2 minutes past, so I'll just dive in. So the agenda's already been shared. You don't need me to read that out to you, but my aim is for you to leave today with a really good understanding of the benefits of Contractor Link and how and when to use it. Some of you may not have heard, but eMapSite is now heading up iDocs Geospatial. And we're really excited to be one of the 4 complementary geospatial businesses under that roof. And we really are combining our strengths in data, services, bespoke applications, and all sorts of innovation. And the collaboration between the businesses is already unlocking new opportunities. And we're working on some really exciting developments for both public sector and private companies. So watch this space. The geospatial division is now over 100 strong of us and still growing, and that's really driven by our unique offering and that growing portfolio of data and services and bespoke applications. We've also got GIS consultancy now and GIS training, and that's open to anybody that uses us. So if you don't have capacity to train your staff, that's something that we can help with as well. And all of that together with eMapSite's self-service map shop creates a really unique end-to-end strategy option for our clients. But we are here to talk about Contractor Link today. So it's actually endorsed and promoted by the Ordnance Survey, and Contractor Link is the leading platform to access Ordnance Survey PSGA data in multiple formats. It's built on the same trusted technology as our self-service map shop, and it's a fully automated solution that basically was designed to remove the friction and delays for consultants working for PSGA members. And it starts from a nominal processing fee, which is just £25, and it ensures licensing compliance, prevents unauthorized data use, and provides instant access to the latest mapping in all the formats available through our commercial map shop. So I've mentioned the PSGA there. For a little bit more information, that's the Public Sector Geospatial Agreement. It's a 10-year contract between the Ordnance Survey and the UK public sector. It's coordinated by the Geospatial Commission, and it came into effect on April the 1st, 2020, and that was replacing the previous PSMA. The PSGA ensures public sector organisations have access to high quality geospatial data, and that's really, throughout organisations to support better decision making and improve service delivery. So the PSGA has nearly 6,500 members. And for the consultants on the call today, if you aren't sure if your client is a member, there is a place on the Ordnance Survey website where you can check if your client is one of those 6,480 members of the PSGA. I've given a list of some typical members there: central and local government, the MOD, NHS, and obviously local authorities, parish councils, etc. Where possible, we always recommend that local authorities and consultants exchange data directly, which they can do. And that's especially if it can be supplied quickly and in the required format. But Contractor Link was developed to bridge that gap when delays occurred. We had lots of consultants coming to us saying they really needed data quickly, and didn't want to add the extra cost for commercially licensing that data on a project. So this really sort of bridges that gap. And that delay can be caused by any number of things. So that could be a high volume of requests coming into a team at a local authority. And some local authorities have got some really, really good, really forward-thinking GIS teams, and I've seen a few of them signed up today. But it can just be a volume. It might be people are on holiday, or another thing, unfortunately, we're seeing is a reduction in numbers of staff in in-house mapping teams at local authorities, or in some cases it could be that there just isn't any mapping or GIS capability within an organisation. So that could be smaller local authorities, parish councils, NHS trusts, and that type of contact. And for the contractors, receiving the data in the right format can mean that they're able to use it immediately, so there's no delays, and that saves valuable time and reduces overhead. A study done by the University of the West of England found that delays in public sector projects can cost anywhere from £350 to £25,000 a day. And that was depending on the location of the project and where it was in its stage. But that's some quite scary numbers. When you consider the real cost of delays like that, Contractor Link becomes a very attractive solution, providing that compliant on-demand access to the latest mapping and data. And the data that we have in Contractor Link is made up of the most popular OS data sets. There are 19 available in the Contractor Link MapShop application. And as you'll see in this table, we've reprocessed these into all the same formats in our commercial map shop. So that's where there's real demand from the people working with the data to have it in those formats. And as with the commercial map shop, so any mapping that's accessed is the latest version, and consultants can update that data free of charge during the 1-year license. So they haven't got to repeatedly go back to the local authority and ask for updates. So what does it look like from the consultant's perspective? Unlike the map shop, Contractor Link starts with a project setup, and that's a really simple form. But one of the key details that you need to watch out for is that the name of the organisation is exactly the same as the PSGA checker. So you need to be mindful of things like ampersands and punctuation. For anybody that's been using Contractor Link for many years, we've improved the contact handling. So instead of relying on a single ALO to sign off the data, you can now enter the details of your specific contact at the local authority. So just another note, they must have a domain email that's linked to that organisation. So personal emails like Gmail, etc., won't work. There's also another difference from the map shop in that it's a per basket processing fee. So I was talking about that starting from £25 fee earlier. So it's for the entire basket. So you can add as many of those 19 different data sets that are available that you require. In this instance, for this area of Witney and Oxfordshire, that's £50 for the entire basket. And to compare, if a consultant were to commercially license this area for master map alone, if they were doing that to speed up a project, it would be just under £1,500. And then once you've built your basket, you accept the license terms, and at that point, your request will automatically be sent to the local authority, and you will be able to see your request in your account. So this one, waiting approval, and then as soon as it's approved, it'll pop up as approved, and then you'll be able to download it. For the local authority, obviously slightly different workflow. So the person who's been named in that project with their email address, they'll receive an email prompting them to sign in and to look at the requested data. So they'll be able to see this in their account, and then they can click on that, and then they can review the order. That will show the data requested and by whom. And most importantly, you can see the area that they've requested as well, so you can make sure it is within your local authority and it is for the project that they're working on. And then you can simply approve or reject. So the advantages of the system for the license holder, for that PSGA member, it really is that effortless self-service distribution of mapping, ensuring that it's always used legitimately, that you stay in control with full visibility, but zero of any kind of admin hassle that would go along with that. It boosts productivity, it keeps projects moving, and eliminates delays that could be caused by licensing and red tape. But it's obviously not just the license holders who benefit from this. So for the consultants, Contractor Link means that instant access to the mapping that you need. That can be from very early stage, so if it's for a tender or for a live project. And you're always working with the latest data in the format that suits your workflow. And it's that fully compliant, hassle-free, and keeps the momentum going without any costly delays. And there are two ways to cover the data processing costs through Contractor Link. First of all, probably most of you will be familiar with, is that pay-as-you-go option that I demonstrated earlier. And that's open to anyone working with PSGA members and any PSGA member. And you can see that the processing fees there for the pay-as-you-go option. Alternatively, for PSGA members, you do have the option to pre-license the service, which would then make it free at the point of access for any consultants working for you. So if that's something that you wanted to explore, we can help you with that. But we do also support local authorities who need data in very specific formats. So again, we can use your PSGA license, but we can do bespoke one-off data processing for you that's purely based on the time it takes for our data team to process those requests. So it could be for something like if you were using software that requires OS mapping in a non-native format. So if you've got anything like that, please do get in touch. We'd be very happy to speak to you. I mean, Contractor Link is not only used by PSGA members. We do have other organisations like the National Trust and several utility companies who use it. They have their own setup and it securely and legitimately distributes their license data. So for any consultants, if you're working with the likes of the National Trust, you can come through us to access their data free of charge. So I have got to the part of the questions now. I did actually take the liberty of contacting our customer operations in case I got to the really embarrassing point of here and nobody had asked any questions at all, to see which were the most popular questions that were asked. So first of all, which areas are covered by Contractor Link? Well, that is Great Britain. So except for the National Trust, which I mentioned earlier, because they do have, in their commercial version of Contractor Link, they do have some data license for Northern Ireland as well. Why can't I create my project? Well, that is normally because the local authority hasn't been set up in our system yet. The majority of them have been, but it could just be one we haven't worked with before. So we can register any local authority or member of the PSGA free of charge. Craig, so who pays the fee? So at the point of order, it would go on to the consultant, but normally that would then be passed on as part of your fees to the local authority, because they're very nominal fees, unless the local authority has opted to pre-license Contractor Link, in which case then it's free to you at the point of access. And we do have quite a few who've done that, especially where they've got very small teams. So it's an easy way for them to just point all of their consultants straight to us. How many products can I license in one go? Well, that's any of the 19 data sets. So you can have as many of those as you like, and it could be for multiple areas within a local authority. Can I add products to an order already placed? So you can't, and that's simply because the local authority needs to have visibility of what you're ordering, so it would need to go through that approval process again. I've placed an order through Contractor Link, but I've not received the data yet. That is nearly always because the local authority haven't approved that that sign off for you to access that data. And as you've got their contact details, it's always worth just dropping your contact an email and just checking it hasn't gone, our notification email hasn't gone into their spam. And can I add a subcontractor to my Contractor Link order? So for a lot of consultants, they're used to, and local authorities, they're used to being able to add a subcontractor to an order. So if they want to legitimately share their data with somebody else who's working on a project, because of the nature of that authorization through Contractor Link, you can't add somebody else to a Contractor Link order. So a new order would need to be placed for that so that the local authority have got visibility of who's accessing their data and what area. Let me just double check if there's any other questions. I would assume the contractor would still sign a PSGA contractor license with the local authority in advance of access or approval. Sarah, really good question. Yes, so that's actually handled through the system. So as you go through, you agree to the licenses and then that signs the agreement between you. So the fees are not per data set, Katie, they're for the whole basket. So it would be everything in that order. So you could have just one bit of master map, for instance, in an order, or all 19 sets. So, you know, green space, address data, whatever. And it would just be that one basket checkout fee for as many as you've got there. Does the local authority contact need to have a contractor link account, or can anyone with an email? So we just set them up free of charge, and it's so that our system, so that they're in the automation for our system, so it will automatically uh, um, send them the emails as they go. I saw another one pop up there. Let's see if I can find that again. Was that around the OS license number? Yep. So that comes through. So within the account, you've got a license tab, which is next to the data when you download the data. So you can download the license document, which has got all of the information on it. Andy, yes, the OS do audit our records. We're a strategic partner of the Ordnance Survey and we work very closely with them. So yes, that's why you do have to use that correct license number. Would it be better to acquire all the available data sets at once? Yes, absolutely, Mark. Do we then receive the OS license number through EMAP site? No, so yeah, you get that license number in the license document. I think, is that everything? I think that is all of the questions in the Q&A, but if there's anything else, please feel free to drop myself or Connor or Nancy an email. Follow up on the fees question. Is the fee for the largest data set or the individual? No, it's done on an area basis. So it reflects how much work it will take for us to process that data. So the cost starts from 1 kilometre. So regardless of the data set that you have, that £25 for that 1 kilometre. So you can have multiple data sets and the density of the data, it doesn't make any difference at all. To add an additional subcontractor later, will there be an additional fee? We can't add a subcontractor at a later date. There would need to be a new a new process to go through and a new order, just because by adding a subcontractor, the local authority wouldn't have the visibility of who'd been added. So yeah, it would need to be a new order. Who decides the appropriate area of coverage? Good question, Andy. That would be, so the local authority can only sign off on areas that are within their within their local authority, within their if it's a county council, it would have to be within their county. So if you're requesting data that's outside of an area for one local authority, then you would need to request different areas. We do have projects that we work on where it spans multiple local authorities, where they've come together for a project. We've worked on some really interesting projects. If you have one like that, contact us directly, because we'll be able to liaise and sort all of that out for you. So it isn't just this automated platform. There's lots of hands-on help that we can give you. So fee for largest, the liability clause. So when we set this up, so the liability within Contractor Link on any project, you'll see within the license is for the value of your work on the project. So your liability is limited to that, Holly. What if the contractor is lazy and asks for the whole borough when they don't really need it? Absolutely, Andy. Then you can reject that request and ask them to, within the system, you don't have to allow them to have it. You can reject the request and then ask them to resubmit the area that they're working on. Are there any plans to add NGD? Yes, Sarah, there are. We work very closely with the OS, and yeah, NGD will most certainly be added to this system. I don't have a date yet, but if you want to drop me an email, I can make sure that you go onto a mailing list to be informed when that happens. Please accept the document for license document for download. Yep, absolutely. As I say, drop me an email, Sarah, and I'll happily send that on to you. We use OS base maps in figures. We often like a few titles around the edge so the whole map extends coverage. I would say providing you haven't put an enormous boundary on it and the local authority can see that what you're requesting is within the remit of your project, then there shouldn't be any issues with you then being able to have that data approved from the local authority. If you're going massively into other local authorities, then get in touch with us and we'll be able to help you out with that if that's data that you need. So for instance, if it's transport planning or something like that and you need data that's outside. So yeah, always please do get in touch. Connor and Nancy, who are more than likely the account managers for most of you that are on this call, always happy to help out with individual inquiries, tenders, any in-house training needed on Contractor Link. Or demos. So if you wanted to have a live demo of the system to your team and how to use it, they'd always be happy to do that for you. I think that is everything. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us today. If any of you are on LinkedIn, we'll always love to connect with you all on LinkedIn and see what you're up to. And yeah, thanks again, and I will leave you to your very warm afternoon.